is Cthulhu? You think you know, but you don't. Lovecraft fans will not be happy. Cthulhu's backstory is addressed in At the Mountains of Madness. Quote, later maps, which display this landmass as cracking and drifting, and sending certain detached parts northward, uphold in a striking way the theories of continental drift lately advanced by Taylor, Wegener, and Joly. This is reference to when Pangaea begins to break up, around 175 million BC. The story goes on. With the upheaval of new land in the South Pacific, tremendous events began. Some of the marine cities were hopelessly shattered, yet that was not the worst misfortune. Another race, a land race of beings shaped like octopi and probably corresponding to the fabulous pre-human spawn of Cthulhu, soon began filtering down from cosmic infinity and precipitated a monstrous war, which for a time drove the old ones wholly back to the sea. A colossal blow in view of the increasing land settlements. Later, peace was made, and the new lands were given to the Cthulhu spawn. Then we jump ahead a few sentences. Then suddenly the lands of the Pacific sank again, taking with them the frightful stone city of R'lyeh and all the cosmic octopi. So we have now established that Cthulhu came to Earth about 175 million years ago, had a big war, and had a time of peace, then R'lyeh sank into the ocean. Now we switch to the Call of Cthulhu. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the phrase Cthulhu Fhtagn, Cthulhu dreams, from the longer quote of "In his house at R'lyeh, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming." The story explains this further, in depth. Now pay attention, because this is one of two very important paragraphs. These great old ones, Castro continued, were not composed altogether of flesh and blood. They had shape, for did not this star-fashioned image prove it? But that shape was not made of matter. When the stars were right, they could plunge from world to world through the sky. But when the stars were wrong, they could not live. But although they no longer lived, they would never really die. They all lay in stone houses in their great city of R'lyeh, preserved by the spells of mighty Cthulhu for a glorious resurrection when the stars and the earth might once more be ready for them. But at that time, some force from outside must serve to liberate their bodies. The spells that preserved them intact likewise prevented them from making an initial move, and they could only lie awake in the dark and think whilst uncounted millions of years rolled by. They knew all that was occurring in the universe. Okay, Cthulhu and his spawn are dead and dreaming beneath the waves for 175 million years. And the city of R'lyeh will rise again when the stars are right. Cthulhu sending out all these dreams and madness to the world. The story goes on to say, the thing of the idols, the green, sticky spawn of the stars, had awaked to claim his own. The stars were right again, and what an age-old cult had failed to do by design, a band of innocent sailors had done by accident. After vigitillions of years, great Cthulhu was loose again and ravening for delight. So Cthulhu is awake. R'lyeh has risen, the sailors are on the island, and Cthulhu is awake. As a side note, a vigitillion is 1 with 63 zeros after it. This number is completely wrong, since the Earth is only about 4.5 billion years old, and the universe itself is only about 13.8 billion years old. Alright, so Cthulhu kills some sailors, 2 others get away to a steamship, Cthulhu gets in the water, the ship hits him and he temporarily diffuses, then immediately begins reforming. The survivors use that time to escape. Johansson, the man who piloted the boat, has a maddening dream. This is the most important part of the story, and we will get back to that in a moment. Then the 2 survivors are rescued by a ship called the Vigilant. Now we have the final paragraph of the story. Cthulhu still lives, too, I suppose, again in that chasm of stone which has shielded him since the sun was young. His accursed city is sunken once more, for the Vigilant sailed over the spot after the April storm. but his ministers on Earth still bellow and prance and slay around idol-capped monoliths in lonely places. He must have been trapped by the sinking whilst within his black abyss, or else the world would by now be screaming with fright and frenzy. Who knows the end? So we've got 3 possible endings here to indicate where Cthulhu is. The first one, it was all a dream. Lots of authors throughout literary history have used this type of terrible ending. Even Lovecraft himself used it in Under the Pyramids. But if that was Lovecraft's intention for the Call of Cthulhu, at least it has a twist that it was all a dream projected into Johansson's brain by the still sleeping Cthulhu down in R'lyeh. But no one likes those kind of cop-out endings, so we shall dismiss it. The second one, the one that most of you believe, corresponds with the last paragraph, that R'lyeh sank and that Cthulhu went with it. But you are wrong. Now, recall the important paragraph I told you earlier about. Cthulhu waits dreaming. There is one more passage that gives the true answer, and it lies in Johansson's final dream of madness. It reads, "Then came the storm of April 2nd, and a gathering of the clouds about his consciousness. There's a sense of spectral whirling through liquid gulfs of infinity, of dizzying rides through reeling universes on a comet's tail, and of hysterical plunges from the pit to the moon, and from the moon back again to the pit, all livened by a cachinnating chorus of the distorted, hilarious elder gods and the green, bat-winged mocking imps of Tartarus." R'lyeh might have sunk again beneath the waves, but Cthulhu wasn't inside. The earlier paragraph said, when the stars were right, they could plunge from world to world through the sky. And this last one talks of plunges from the pit to the moon and dizzying rides through reeling universes. The stars were right. R'lyeh rose out of the sea. Cthulhu awoke. Then he bailed. This clearly shows that Cthulhu left planet Earth for infinities unknown. And after being trapped for 175 million years, do you think that he would be stupid enough to get stuck again? No. So the answer to the question, where is Cthulhu, is, I don't know, but he's definitely not trapped again in R'lyeh. Cthulhu Fhtagn.